Hey, it's Renee Keel, host of TradeIQ and Chief Operating Officer at BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. I'm thrilled to introduce TradeIQ to you, the podcast that shares the economic stories of IT hardware resale. Each episode, I interview an industry leader who embodies what it takes to realize success in the ever-changing and highly competitive secondary IT market. What does it truly mean to be an ITAD provider? How do companies mitigate supply chain risks? How can your business thrive amidst changing market conditions that eat away at profit margins? Explore these topics and more on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com. And while I have your attention, I want to personally invite you to attend a BrokerBin Roadshow. This biannual event brings together ITAD and ITAM providers, wholesalers, resellers, and service professionals all under one roof for 2.5 days of high-value networking. Where else can you make a true, authentic connection with other IT professionals in our industry? Join us in Europe in the spring and in the US in the fall. Learn more and register at BrokerBinRoadshow.com. Gavin Griffiths launched Insurgo in 2009 from his home's spare bedroom in South Wales. The company has adapted and grown over the years to become a data tape supply and disposal enterprise, and they're not done growing yet. With the global tape media market projected to reach nearly $10 billion by 2030, Gavin and his team are taking expansion steps today to prepare for future demand, including opening their first U.S. location in Colorado. Services paired with proprietary traceability software sets Insurgo apart within the tape media niche to support security, compliance, and sustainability. What's helped with the company's growth has been the rise in adoption of ESG goals by companies around the world. Gone are the days when data erasure can be done without providing proof of destruction. On this episode, Gavin and I discuss Insurgo's go-to-market strategy and the importance of putting the right people in place to meet company goals as well as respond to industry trends. Whatever happens going forward, Gavin is all about securing Insurgo as a company that's built to last. All right. Okay. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say, Gavin.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to have this discussion and share with us the story of Insurgo.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Great.
so welcome. You launched Insurgo, Gavin, in 2009.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
over 15 years ago.
That's wonderful. Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell us about the company and kind of talk about your journey from 2009 till now. Tell us all.
Well, it all started from the back bedroom. It was an idea really to sort of look at trading tape, which I'd been in the industry for about 8 or 9 years prior to that. Had a sort of vision that I wanted to expand upon. But that journey just completely changed over the last 15 years. You know, like any journey has its ups and downs, and we've had several challenges along the way with COVID, the recession, all those sort of things. But what it does, it changes. We adapted within those changes. And we found a little area within the market that we thought was untapped, which came to the tape disposal. So we started investing heavily in this while still supplying tape. So yeah, that has changed or shaped the business then rather as we go looking for partnerships and working with people to expand the technology behind me forward. I think from a personal point of view, was in myself as a overexaggerated salesperson, then I think is where I started. I think I've learned a lot of resilience and calm in the recent years for me now. So try not to rush into everything, try and understand different angles of the situation. I've learned a lot in 15 years, I'd say that. And I think probably the biggest takeaway for me is staying true to the goals that we set. So what we're looking at this year and the business plan is not to deviate away from that and stay with what we're doing and make that a core.
Yeah, great. That's wonderful. And you guys are having some pretty rapid expansion, right? You're now in the
Yes. We acquired a gentleman from Spectra, Ian Hamilton, well-known industry professional. And in the recent weeks, we also had Patrick Mayock join us from HPE. So along with the expansion into the US marketplace, which was what we really wanted to look at as being the bigger market for tape, it led perfectly for that for us.
Wonderful. So what's next for Insurgo?
Well, I think with the expansion into the US now, this is a big step for us. So, I mean, we're still finding our feet. We're very early doors on this. But we know the US market is probably 10 times the size of what the UK has. So when we have a simple 1,000 tape opportunity, that's a simple 10,000 tape opportunity in America. So, it's understanding that go-to market strategy in the first instance. And then I think we've got the right people in the right place to make this happen. We chose Colorado purely because of the tape heritage. And we know IBM used to be there, Oracle or Storage Tech, as we call them. It just seemed to be the fitting place to grow out from. So we want to stay and keep our target around the tape disposal solutions now, rather than sort of just supplying the tape media. We've had 2 new partners come on board recently, one in America, and we got another one looking at us in APAC as well. So I think it's about selecting the right partners for us now who can help us to achieve those goals that we're going to set for the year ahead. So what we don't want to do is try and dilute this offering too much and make everybody have the same core capabilities of what our technology does. So keeping that unique selling point for us and offering this to a partner can help bolster some of their main objectives in what they do. So I think, growing probably, I think for the future for us will probably be about getting a production facility or services somewhere to manage the technology that we have. But I think, we've got to grow that technology out first to see where we have the opportunities going forward.
Wow. Exciting.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a difference for the next 15 years, that's for sure.
So tell us about your company culture, Gavin, with respect to your employee relationships. And tell us what makes it dream. What do you think makes a dream?
I think when I look at it from my colleagues, I think we're all pulling in the same direction, right? I think that is the core for us to make sure that what we set out to do at the start of the financial year is what we want to try and achieve by the end of the year and measure that. So we're keeping it very simple. Rather than it being about individual KPIs, it's more about how we collectively work together as a team to contribute something to the business. So it's quite unusual for me because being a salesperson, you're sort of left with targets and you've got your own personal stuff, but the culture is more now about sharing the losses and the gains that we do together. So I really like that, and I think it's good because it's not all on one person's shoulders. It's multiple people doing multiple things, and in the IT world, it's so fast paced as well. So we're in a little bit of a niche area that nobody else really sort of focuses on. So I think for us, one of the core responsibilities that we have is that link between our research and development team and the salespeople who are seeing the stuff in the marketplace happen. So the communication is quite key in that area. That's got to be, well thought out, well educated. Look at, your marketing aspects of whatever it is that we're developing. So everybody knows their contribution to the business and how important it is. And I remember someone telling me years gone by, you take the smallest cog out of this watch and this watch don't work. So it's as simple as that. Everybody has a purpose to make the hands go round. So we want to make sure that everybody understands their value to the business as well.
I love that. And I definitely feel like when people feel like they are, invested and that they understand their value to the whole organization and the process, it just,
I like that.
Individuals feel successful, and then obviously as a team here.
Well, it's what I've got to hold my hat on and what's behind me. This technology has advanced so much, but it's not because of me. It comes down to my inventor, our technicians, it's all across the board. We've all had some way of contributing to this, from selling it to understanding what we needed to make it change, to make it work. And it all fits in well. It's nice.
That's great.
Thank you.
Great. And the tape media market is growing, right? So it's expected to reach nearly 10 billion globally by 2030. That's
it is. It's not slowing down. I mean, we've got this AI thing happening right now, and the amount of creation that it's making. You've got to think of the data it's creating just by asking it a simple question. That information has got to be stored somewhere. It's got to be kept. It's going to be ending up on tape somewhere along the way. So, it's exciting. It's probably the longest dying technology of any technology I've ever known. In the end of the 80s, early 90s, it was supposed to meet as match with disk. We even thought that solid state disk was going to take it out, but here we are, still another roadmap for another 20 plus years. So we're good.
That's great. So do you feel like the playing field is quite competitive then?
Yes and no. So yes, it can be let me talk about tape supply. So the tape supply is an issue because everybody's on this massive, great big race to the bottom because nobody has real value that you can add to a supply of a product. So yes, we have some services around there that support the data on the tape, but it doesn't make that tape any more expensive when you're buying it. So it's very competitive in that area, and the market is starting to feel the squeeze as I think the big boys are getting bigger. All the cloud companies and everything are expanding exponentially. Amount of data being ingested is huge. But it also leaves behind those people who are still creating that same amount of information and putting it somewhere else. It's still creating that amount of information. So however we look at it, the tape sales are going to continue to increase.
Okay.
So that is an important part of it. But what it's doing for us is creating aspects of people who want to move to the cloud so we can help them do that. Or then I've obviously got the destruction track, which we talk about our technology being differentiator in the marketplace today.
Yeah, yeah. And that was actually going to be my next question. We already touched on it a couple of times, but what does set you guys apart in the disposal industry? And this is kind of
yeah, it's difficult for me to answer this one, Renee. No, it's one of those things. It's one of those solutions. I don't think really looked at by many people. It's something that has complete traceability. So nobody else has what we have in safeguarding. I think both the customers and our service providers or the suppliers in this particular route to market. So we've got the most energy efficient machines of any disposal method. And we've proven this with an independent LCA report. We had done something like a 51% saving because we're able to keep the tape whole and then have that recycled, which puts us leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. So unlike the traditional methods of degaussing, shredding, incineration, or landfill, whatever's being used, they're lacking the traceability, I think, that the regulated industries need today. So our patented technology now gets us ahead of a lot of the competitors in this area. I don't think we really have competitors. Having patents on this protect us to a good level. So having that time and date stamp on the entire process of chain of custody, it's unmatched. So nobody has what we have to be able to secure the data and take media for them.
incredible.
Thank you.
That's amazing. So along those lines, what risks exist with respect to tape media disposal, and how do you guys address those risks?
Oh, we're going to start on this one. I mean, I think the key for me is trying to educate customers of what's happened in this marketplace. So tape media has been around for years. Yes, we know, it's been, there was a point in time 20 years ago when they said, we can't just throw this in the bin anymore. We need to do something to get the data from it. Yeah. And then they decided to start shredding it or cutting it and degaussing it. And that hasn't changed over the last 20 years. So what happens in the technology advancements that this year IBM released a tape with the capability of holding 150 terabyte on it. Wow. So 150 terabyte on a square little box this size, so the biggest hard drive is like 20 odd terabytes in comparison to this. But the disposal methods haven't evolved with that maneuver. So, these tapes have gone so much bigger in capacity. And we calculated something like a 10 centimeter strand of tape now can hold like 3.5 HD movies on it. So when these people are doing shredding services and these remnants of tape are coming out everywhere, this anywhere up to like 12 gig of information on a small strand. So, we say to customers, think about it from a control point of view. You're trying to control a couple of thousand tapes through a disposal track. What's that like trying to control a couple of million particles of this same tape? It's near impossible. So having our technology then deal with the data on that tape before anything else happens to it, it just ensures that there's no data left on that tape. The tracking systems give you a watertight audit trail, so this, no issues or problems for anybody having any comebacks on them, reputational damage and everything else that goes with it.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's a lot to understand and think
It
about.
really is.
Oh my
It
gosh.
is. It really is. I mean, we were lucky enough to be invited to IBM's what do they call it, Future of Tape event in Switzerland. They held one in Arizona a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And it is really, really interesting to see how this technology is going to advance and the challenges of which it's going to present. And, you know, did a lot of research around like the risk people involved in this, and they don't see tape as a big risk, and rightly so. They have all the right controls in place to handle the data, encrypt it, put it on there, move it. But when it comes to the disposal, just because they haven't been caught out in shredding their tapes for the last 20 years, they think it's the right method. So nobody's really looking to change that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Yeah.
This is kind of, I mean, I think this is going to answer itself here based on what we just learned, but what is the benefit to brokers and their clients in working with Insurgo?
Well, we've got the fastest throughput for sure, right? So like 20 of our machines can erase at least 3,000 tapes a day. So
Okay.
I think like the leading shredders do around about 12 to 1,500 tapes. So we're kind of ahead on the throughput aspect in the first instance. We touched on the environmental aspects about keeping the tape cool, but we've also got the lowest power consumption of any method for tape destruction. I think our systems take something like 20 milliamps an hour. It's like next to nothing. It's like charging a mobile phone battery.
Okay.
So that getting rid of the tapes with the ESG benefits, it's important. So, well, to answer the question from a broker perspective, here's something that I've been working on. Companies that generally track tape by the sticky barcode label on the tape, as an example. So we're going to help bring that level to a much higher auditable level in the first instance, because anybody can mimic a barcode label. So I've got a little example here to show you, right?
Okay.
And it's interesting because this was a tape, well, one of these tapes we received from one of our brokers, which is identically branded, and I've got the identical label on both of them.
Okay.
So then I pose the question of which one is ours and which one is theirs, and they don't know. So I say, okay, imagine this in an evidence bag in court, because a customer's had from you a destruction certificate with that barcode number on, and it's in an evidence bag that you said you shredded. So how do you prove that in a court of law that you shredded that tape when the judge is looking at that in an evidence bag in a court? And then that throws the response that we're looking for, which is, okay, how do we do this better? How do we make sure they don't get a comeback on this? And that's kind of what we want to show brokers. It's a little difficult because you think a data destruction certificate, you're signing the rights away to another company, but you put the onus on your company with that certificate. So it works both ways. You know, it's great for the customers that they have this watertight audit trail, but it's also good for the service providers because just one day it only needs a 20 pence label and someone's mimicked an entire tape of companies which have said they've destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So this again, like, we're sort of answering my questions before I'm asking them a little bit, but my next question was really like, how do you ensure compliance with data protection laws and regulations? And this is just exactly what.
Yeah, no, it's right. I mean, the nice thing for us is the auditability, the traceability of what we have. So we're able to take both the barcode label, the serial number of the tape, and link those two together. But we also have the serial number of the chip. There's a little memory chip inside tape that people don't recognize and realize. I bought one of these along for the meeting for you as well. So we have this like micron thick, small little chip, and then that little black dot in the center is where the data's held. So we're talking like a 1 mil squared, couple of micron thick chip that contains information about the tape, the usage, the server name, the backup software that was used, and all that sort of stuff. So we had a patent filed this year to be able to have the only system, the little red box behind me, that will handle the entire physical film and that memory chip at the same time, simultaneously, and recorded upon within there. So we have the time and date stamp of the tape of when we received it. We proved how many times it was used by the company before and showed them it's the same amount at the end. So that helps from a compliance point of view that the tape was never mounted or copied or done anything of that nature. And then we've got the erasure of the chip as well as the data on the film. And every process is time and date stamped by who done it, when they done it, how they done it, which machine done the work. It's the most comprehensive report in the marketplace. I haven't seen anything that can beat this.
It's incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Well, it's why we had so much interest in Nashville when we came. We did an initial sort of demonstration for people who we didn't even know were coming or attending, and it went down an absolute treat. It was brilliant.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
That's great. And I love the show and tell. Thank you so much.
It's better when you visualize it, when you don't
For sure.
realize, you don't realize how little these things are and what they can potentially turn into. So it's trying to educate the marketplace and understand that just throwing something down a shredder blade isn't likely going to get you the best results that you want.
Right, for sure. So is that really the message you would want to say or give to potential partners or companies who still use the traditional tape disposal methods?
Absolutely. That's this year's plan. Investing quite heavily in marketing, trying to get the story out there. I said a couple of key hires that we've had as well that link us into individual industry professionals, I should say, that's going to link us into potential suppliers and partners who will work with us to help get the story out there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Thank you.
What industry trends are you watching?
Industry trends. So well, you touched on the explosion of data or the amount of tape that's likely to go. One of my colleagues worked out the other day the amount of new information that's going to be created in the next 2 years is going to need something like 800 million tapes to be able to store all that. Yes, I know. I couldn't believe it myself. And I'm like, you sure this is right? He said, I got it from ChatGPT. I said, no, that's not a source. I said, let's have a little look. And when we looked into the marketplace, he wasn't wrong, or ChatGPT wasn't wrong. So yeah, the amount of data creation on the most current technology, most popular and current technology, it's going to create millions and millions of tapes for us. And that's kind of, however anybody's views this market, we talk about trends, we kind of sit on a seesaw. So if they say the trend is increasing and the more and more tapes are going up, then great, because then obviously we have more and more tapes to supply. But if they say the tape is dying and it's going end of life, then that's great because it's more and more tapes to destroy. So whichever way you take me, I really don't care. We're happy either way to go. It's a double-edged sword for us, but a good sword.
Put yourself in a very, very good position.
I think so. I think when you talk about trends, right, that we say about this, one other thing I would probably mention is like we have in the Europe and UK, Europe, is the ESG aspects. So I'm seeing that now more and more throughout Europe, maybe not so much in the US, but I do see some core people getting seats at the board. So you have influencers now, people who are well positioned to be able to promote our technology, then I should say. You want a lower footprint of CO2, then this is the solution ultimately people go through. So you've got the security, you've got the traceability, you've got the environmental, probably a little bit too good to be true. That's the only thing we've got to be careful of. It doesn't. We got the throughput as well. So they're going to give a little something back.
Yeah. How would you describe the market conditions of the past few years, and what's your outlook for the near future, Gavin?
I think the past few years have been rather challenging around the tape media supply aspects. We've had a lot of people having a great big race to the bottom in trying to earn more market share. So we're seeing some big deals, a couple of £100,000 worth of tapes going out there with very slim £2,000-3,000 markups on them. So our focus, I think, is really changing more towards the destruction revenues now, and what we're seeing, the increasing amount of tapes that are being destroyed. So I think it's important for us to focus on that core now. I think that the tape media supply market, whilst growing, is probably going to get thinner the more that this gets into. So I think having this niche in the destruction realm is where our value really sits, and I think that's probably where we'll get the most success going forward. And I do say to people, increase practices of ESG that we touched on, we see a lot of this gaining momentum now. So I still think companies need to understand that security is key. This security should never take a back seat over anything other than security. That comes first, So I think looking ahead from a market condition point of view, I think it's stricter regulations are going to come into place around data, especially with AI and what's happening with that. I think you're going to see some considerable changes. The market's just maturing faster than I think we've ever seen before. And I use a really good example for my customers. There was a project from about 5 years ago. It was done by the Diamond Light Company in London, and they had the Dead Sea Scroll, and they had this infrared technology that could see through the scroll and find the copper that was written in the ink some 2,000 years ago. And they're able to unravel this scroll and show what was written on there as something that we thought we'd lost like 2,000 years ago. And yeah, exactly. And that was a 5-year-old project that's gone, 2019, something like that. So how much we advanced even more in those 5 years. And I show people the little strand of tape. It's like, you don't think we can get information off here, but yet we can get something off a 2,000-year-old burnt scroll. So yeah, I think the market, making that link between the market abilities, I think is the word maybe, the abilities of the market and what's happening in technology in general, and then what's happening with the advancements of tape, and trying to link those two together, I think is a core factor for a lot of people to look out for in the future.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. Oh my God. Wow, incredible.
Yeah.
What are the best resources that have helped you along the way, Gavin?
My people, my colleagues, everybody, without a doubt. Without us as collectively, I think we totaled up the other day, we have something like 450 years experience in tape media, from manufacturing through selling and just being involved in the business. There's 20 odd of us here. So having, that many years, it really helps. It has a lot of residual value that you can't buy. It's physically impossible. You're not going to get that in this day and age. And I think we probably achieved more than we ever sort of set out and planned to do when we first started this business. So I think for me now, all these futuristic changes and what lies ahead, whatever happens, if tape media falls off tomorrow, we're still going to have a business 20 years destroying everybody's tapes for the next 20 years. So we feel quite comfortable from that point of view. So I think really for us now, it's probably about securing the future for the people that are working here, and yeah, looking for that next stage in the marketplace that maybe we can move into.
Yeah. So you guys have been a member of BrokerBin since 2012, which
wow.
I know. Wow. Wow is right.
I don't feel that old.
I've been with BrokerBin for going on 16 and a half years maybe or something, and I just can't fathom enough to have been here for that long.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Anyway, so you've been with us since 2012. Tell me a little bit about what BrokerBin has done for your business and how the platform has maybe helped you achieve your objectives.
Yeah, it's been a great platform for us. It's been fantastic. In fact, we initially came onto this platform. I think we were one of the very few people selling tapes, whilst the market in broker world wasn't that much. We quickly got a reputation with you guys as being like a go-to tape people, which was great. It really did help us a lot in terms of not just the opportunities that we found, but also finding people that we can work with, and in this industry, having those sort of core partners with our value is really great, because they're only one question away from a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it kind of doubles up for us, because it also helped us find equipment for IT world that we deal with, as well as stuff that we want for ourselves. So yeah, I think it's a great platform for us. It's been, well, like you say, I don't believe it's been 12 years, but yeah, that's great. That's it's the reason why it's been 12 years. Renee, has been that good for us. So
thank you. I love to hear that. And the roadshows, you attend the roadshows, and you've been a regular tabletop sponsor. What tips do you have for attendees to get the most out of these networking events, these business networking events?
To get the most out of them, yeah, I think because I went to the second one, when I went to the second one, sorry, I should say, when I went to the second one, you get the familiar faces, you get to see some people that you get to know a little bit more in the industry. And having that reconnection with them really helps bolster whatever business you're doing. When we went to Vegas, we ended up getting several new customers as a result of it, but it also reaffirmed a really good relationship that we had with someone in America. So that was great. Nashville, this was really interesting because we had a plan. We were a bit late to the game for Nashville. I think we only came with about 3 or 4 weeks left to go. But we set up a number of meetings through that platform and the app, which was brilliant, by the way, because we didn't have that in Vegas, but this was fantastic in Nashville. It really was. And it would tell you who you're meeting, when you're meeting, you know, all that sort of stuff. So we were a bit quiet on the first couple of hours of the morning, and we had a couple of things planned. So we had about 10 or 15 people that we wanted to attack, and we got to see 14 of them because I think we had like a little mini storm coming in, and one person didn't come the second day. It was. But we got a good 60% conversion rate on those initial 10. But what surprised us was the people who visited the table, because they got to see the technology and we get to do some demos for them. The first 6 customers that we had there, 5 of them are interested in adopting this solution now and becoming a partner of ours, which is even better than what we had.
That is the best news. Love hearing those stories.
No, it's really great.
Oh, good.
The face-to-face meetings are important, I think. It really does bring that opportunity out for us.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your thoughts on the face-to-face conversations and how you would pitch the value of in-person conversations. It is very much, a passion of mine to get people to understand the importance of coming together and being in person and having face-to-face conversations. But I think sometimes it's better for other members to hear it from members instead of me. How important it is.
If I give you a realistic response, I think it'll have more value for you, right? So I think like the days of face-to-face meeting with video calling, I felt was more or less coming to an end, right? And I kind of experienced it only last month, in November. We went up to just past Birmingham. So we had about 3.5-hour run up to Birmingham. And we had an hour with a company, and then we were coming 3.5 hours back, and it was 2 of us. So the 2 of us had lost the day in an hour worth of work, which is really what the bit that we found having the challenge then. I would rather have done it sat here having the hour and have had as much out of it as what I would have done on that. However, in your BrokerBin scenario, and this is where it gets good, when you've got 200 plus people in the same room, the value then becomes really right for the people in the industry. Don't get me wrong, I don't think there is a lot of value in having a face-to-face meeting with someone. It allows us to have a wider understanding of challenges and synergy of solutions and things like that. So discussing partnerships and getting those goals is a better understanding in face-to-face if you've got something there. So being physically present, I think, gives you a stronger relationship, a deeper understanding of what those goals are and what you want to try and achieve together. And I think that's where ideas turn into action points. But in BrokerBin world, it's so much better having those 200 plus people in the room. And especially when we got something unique like we have, it really does stand out. So it's good value for us, Renee. I wouldn't, I'd recommend it to anyone who's new to the broker world or, looking to try and get a different angle or a different vision of their business.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It's obviously what we believe to be the case, but like I said, it resonates so much more when other members are able to say, like, yes, that actually is the case. We can go and we can make this many connections in just a couple of days, and plus you've got some networking events and like you said, new prospects, new potential partners, and then also solidify relationships.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and it's what you've got to try and do is understand the value of what you're getting from this. It's difficult if you're a first timer and you don't really understand its full true concept, but I think when you look at I'll say the charges involved in this, then, or the fees that you do, it's nothing in comparison to what you'll get out of it. You'd spend 20 times that trying to get a marketing push to reach all those people in that BrokerBin network. So it's really good.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for that. So Gavin, thank you so much for your time and for sharing about your business and your journey. Tell us how people can connect with you or learn more about you. Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, I'm just in the process of revamping the website right now. So we have the .com is coming shortly. So we're a little bit behind where we wanted to be with that. But no, it'll be all over our website. So Insurgo Media Services, insurgo.co.uk or insurgomedia.com will be the two choices. I hate to give out my personal information because I know I'll get loads of unsolicited calls.
But I'm assuming it's all your profile and BrokerBin is up to date.
Yeah, I'm all on LinkedIn. You'll find me. If they're interested, they'll find me.
Great. That's great. Well, thank you again so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, take care.
Been great. All the best.
Bye-bye. Thanks again to Gavin Griffiths from Insurgo for joining the podcast. TradeIQ is a production of BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. Subscribe to TradeIQ for new episodes as we share the economic stories of IT hardware resale from industry leaders who work tirelessly to expand asset life cycles and eliminate e-waste. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com.